up, Lesotho慈济volunteers donate second-hand computers and distribute aid to the needy. We take a look at the history of bone marrow transplants and advancements in stem cell technology. Welcome to Dial Headlines. I'm Helen Now. Thank you for joining us. In Lesotho, Tsuji volunteers donated 10 second-hand computers to the Kumra Snailman Primary School of Madhepur in hopes of narrowing the digital divide in the school while helping students improve their rate of learning. As well, the volunteers seized the opportunity to tend to needy families in the local community as they deliver rice and cooking oil to 142 residents.
What is on the computers is Microsoft XP and then Microsoft version 2002 is only on these computers.
Oh, that's wonderful.
To thank the Tsuji Foundation for delivering 10 second-hand ASUS computers, students of the Kumra Snailman Primary School joined in song to show their gratitude.
We always at your back. We wish you that the sun will shine on your face, bring you happiness.
Tsuji volunteers not only arrived with useful educational resources, but also rice and cooking oil for needy residents in the local community.
阿弥陀佛，感恩。
In total, 142 residents received 10 kilo bags of rice. Following in Tsuji volunteers' suit, these recipients hold hands and recite the name Ami Tuofo as a way to express their gratitude and love to Tsuji volunteers.
In Taiwan, scouts shown to encourage members of the public to donate their bone marrow to help patients in need. Tsuji volunteers held a bone marrow donation campaign inside the Kaohsiung Jingsi Hall, where they explained to participants the process of donating bone marrow. Among the volunteers was former politician and lawyer Tang A-ken, who has learned to give himself to Tsuji's charity events and now lives a happy and spiritually fulfilling life.
Here at the Kaohsiung Jinsi Hall, Tsuji volunteers carefully explain the process of bone marrow donation to members of the public. Among the volunteers is Tang A-ken, who used to be a self-centered person but has now found spiritual fulfillment in doing Tsuji.
Before, I was a selfish person. If anyone dared to get in my way, I would crush them. My road to success was paved with people's failure. However, after my retirement, I realized that this kind of success is not genuine success.
Among the numerous families attending the event is also nurse Lin Hui-qin, who has personally experienced life and death in her patients.
Because one of my family members is sick now, I hope to do my part to help other patients in need. It is a blessing that I am healthy and capable of helping other people, so I will do my best.
Thanks to the volunteers' dedication, a more comprehensive bone marrow database is being built up, one that will help more patients find matches in the future.
The percentage of being matched as a potential bone marrow donor is 1 in 10,000. In Tainan, Taiwan, a husband and wife team have both been matched for donation. The husband was able to save a life in England, while the wife saved someone's life in Korea. Following in their parents' footsteps, the children of these two bodhisattvas have also registered as potential donors. Now the husband and wife team continues their work to inspire others to join the registry and help accompany current donors on their path of saving a life.
Oh, 大包小包的啊。
先保考就放我们这边哦，是认筹会黄学。
这个就是你的身份证。
At the hospital today, Tsuji volunteer Xu Guozhu and his wife, Shao Jinfeng's only duty is being good company. They are here to tend to a blood marrow donor's every need. What patients are most afraid of isn't the actual procedure, but the waiting beforehand. For these anxious hearts, Xu and Shao know just what to do.
试看甜不甜？甜，来，
不水，
好，我们一起来。
喜欢吃这样哦。
My wife is able to talk to people she doesn't know freely. It's strange as she's able to chat with them like old friends.
会不会紧张？不会，你们假把书在里。话题是会。
Topics vary from their response. They are able to chat with me for a long time, as I just talk about what they like to talk about, not what I like to talk about.
再见对。丁总，有没有人在？在那里舒服为原则哦，哈。要不要枕头垫？
For privacy concerns, the face or voice of the bone marrow donors are not revealed, but the love and care Shao and her husband show is evident. The reason they are able to give so selflessly is all because of their past. She is the head and also the only employee of this auto shop. Besides helping out at the shop, Shao also makes handicrafts to make ends meet for the family. Although not affluent, the couple possesses a heart of gold. Influenced by Master Zhenyan's campaign to encourage the public to donate bone marrow to save a life, in 2000, she was notified as a match for a patient in Japan who suffered from leukemia.
When I first notified that I was a match, I felt it to be a great blessing that I could save a life. Then I went to get checked up. But I didn't pass the health exam, so I couldn't donate. I was really upset and disappointed. Half a year later, my wife was notified that she was a match, so I told her, "You need to fulfill my wish. You need to donate."
My mother had me when she was 40 years old, and it was such a good omen that I was selected as a match at the age of 40. I felt it was meant to be. I didn't know it would be so easy to save a life.
Under such auspicious circumstances, Shao successfully donated her bone marrow the following year. In the eyes of her husband, he was ecstatic for her, but also slightly jealous.
Half a year after that, I was notified again that I was a match. I felt it unlikely that I could be a match a second time. So every time I come to work, I would talk to Master Zheng Yan's picture, asking her to bless me be a successful donor this time.
The chance of a match from a non-biological family member is 1 in 10,000, but the percentage seems higher in the Xu household. When Xu successfully donated his bone marrow on November 14, 2002, his 3 children also followed suit and registered as potential donors.
I felt like everyone came around to the concept.
It's more convincing when we head out to ask others to be bone marrow donors. When they ask, "How do you know nothing will happen after donating? You've never done it before." I can tell them that I have and show them our documents. They will see that although we both donated bone marrow, we are still healthy and able.
As successful donors, Xu and his wife are not only an example that inspires others to register as potential donors, but also a pair of angels that continue to warm current donors' hearts.
As this year marks the 20th anniversary at the Tzu Stem Cell Center, we look back to how bone marrow transplant came about and the recent rapid advancement in medical stem cell technology. Let's take a look.
Patients needing hematopoietic stem cell transplant normally suffer from cancer and stem cell disorders such as leukemia, malignant lymphoma, or thalassemia.
Those that require bone marrow transplants are mainly acute leukemia patients who make up about 2/3 of the cases. This is because traditional chemotherapy cannot kill all the cancer cells in the body of a patient suffering leukemia.
What will happen if a patient doesn't receive bone marrow transplant surgery? The relapse chances will be quite high after the traditional chemotherapy, and if that happens, there is no guarantee he or she will survive.
Only with a normal stem cell system will the lives of these patients be extended. First, a patient will need large amounts of medication and radiotherapy to kill all the cancer cells inside their body before a donor's hemopoietic stem cell systems are inserted to create a new blood and immune system. Doctors from abroad had begun researching such techniques over half a century ago.
在1950年代，其实就有
In 1950s, doctors already came up with such ideas, but they weren't clear on how the immune system would transit into the patient's body. Later on, we came to understand that the patient's body may reject allogeneic bone marrow transplants. This was something that needed to be overcome.
这个排斥现象的话呢，这个骨髓移植是没办法成功的。
It was not until the 60s that ways to determine the human leukocyte antigen was developed. The 6 variant in both the patient and donor's chromosome 6 must match in order to go through with the transplant. The chance of finding a successful match through siblings is only 25%, and finding a match in a non-related person is under 1 in 10,000.
现在因为大家都小家庭。
Most families now only have one child, so it would be impossible to find a match. If you have 2 kids, the chances are still quite low. So that's why we need to promote the replacement of hemopoietic stem cells through umbilical cord banks or non-relative blood banks.
Thus, in the 90s, a national bone marrow donation database center was established in the United States, with Europe and East Asia soon following suit. And in Taiwan, the Tzu Chi Foundation set up the first bone marrow database in 1993.
Bone marrow transplants began in the 60s and the 70s, and peripheral blood transplants took off after the 80s and matured in the 90s. Of course, it was only after the 90s that medical personnel began to wonder if there are stem cells in the blood of umbilical cord.
From extracting bone marrow, collecting peripheral blood and umbilical cord blood, to donating hemopoietic stem cells, the rapid advancement of medical technology has made it easier for us to save lives.
不管是你的亲属
Whether it is your relative or someone who is not related to you, for them to be willing to donate their stem cells really means that they have a heart of gold. The good intention to give is really rare and precious.
爱心是非常可贵。
因为这个骨髓营养库的这一个推动。
In the process of promoting our bone marrow database, we hope to inspire goodness in everyone's hearts, so that our society will become more compassionate and harmonious.
社会呢，就会更加美好。
In an era dominated by mobile communications, increasingly mobile phones have replaced the PC to become the device most used for web browsing. Therefore, the need for faster connectivity and transmission has also been mounting. The upgrade from 3G to 4G will mean that communication will become faster and more frequent. In the near future, it will only take a minute to download a 3-hour high-definition movie.
As the mobile era is here to stay, it is estimated that by 2015, over 50% of the market will be dominated by smartphones.
我常常是用这个摄影的，这个是用这个修图的美图。
With mobile phones personalized and portable, the mobile communications market is growing at a staggering rate. Today, a group of seniors gather on the streets of Danshui to share their photos and videos with their teacher. For them, the current network speed is not so bad.
Very rarely are we transmitting audio-visual files, it's mainly pictures, so currently I think it's okay.
However, the greater the data, the faster and more reliable a network transmission is needed.
When I watch YouTube videos on my cell phone, it often lags. It can be frustrating. I recently traveled to Japan and I found their 4G network to be extremely fast.
With faster transmission speeds and better visual quality, our smartphones will have the ability to connect the virtual world with reality. We conducted an interview with National Taiwan University Electrical Engineer Professor Lin Zhongnan.
老师，您在什么地方？
好，我在英国的伦敦，透过智慧手机上网跟你做越洋的这样的一个连线访问。
现在的手机品质好像上网的状况不是那么的好，是不是以后有可能会改善？
对，当换成4G 的时候，4G 的速度的话是3G 的这样的大概10倍所以的话，连线的品质的话就能够大改善。那这个也是为什么那个有70几个国家都已经推出4G 商转服务的一个原因。
4G, otherwise known as the fourth generation of wireless technology, has faster network transmission. In comparison, on a 3.5G network, it takes 111 seconds to transmit 100 2 megabyte sized pictures. On 4G, it will only take 16 seconds. As its transmission is slower, 3.5G can only accommodate audio and photo data transmissions, whereas 4G can easily handle audio-visual transmissions. Just exactly how fast is the speed?
If we were to download a 3-hour high-definition movie, it would just take a minute.
As the auction for 4G telecommunication service licenses has begun, apart from the construction of base stations, business opportunities for cloud computing, e-commerce are booming.
Looking at the long term, a change in policy will ensure telecom carriers provide their subscribers with better connectivity and transmission speeds.
However, given that the local market is relatively small, investment in network deployment and 4G base stations poses a great challenge for telecom carriers.
We urgently need the government to assist us in this regard to provide better bases in more suitable environments.
As Taiwan emerges as the center of cloud computing technologies and is one step away from the 4G era, whether or not this can help drive Taiwan's competitive advantage overseas remains to be seen.
In Taiwan, newly recruited medical personnel from the Taipei City Hospital and their supervisor seized the past weekend to help care recipients clean up their surroundings. Thanks to home visitations, many medical staff say that they have learned to be more content and grateful for what they have. Here's more.
I'm very touched. Thank you to these sisters for being so kind to me. All of you take good care of me.
This is Mrs. He, who sits on an adult potty chair most of the time as she has limited mobility. The senior doesn't have the ability to look after her husband, who suffered from a stroke, or clean up their surroundings. Today, newly recruited medical staff from Taipei City Hospital have been mobilized to help.
I realize that there are still many underprivileged people in the society. From now on, all of us will treat our patients with patience and extra attentiveness.
Normally, we can only see a patient's family situation from their paperwork. I think it is great that we have this chance to personally visit them and their families. I think this experience has inspired us to put ourselves in their shoes.
Today, doctors and nurses visit different communities to better understand the needs of patients. Seeing the suffering with their own eyes, many medical staff say this trip has broadened their perspective on life as well as their medical duties.
Right now, we're understaffed. We hope through home visitations, medical staff can realize that taking care of patients is not just a job, but a responsibility that they need to carry out. We want to help them rediscover their passion and the purpose of nursing.
Thanks to the home visitations, these newly recruited medical personnel not only learn to help the less fortunate, but also realize the importance of being content and grateful.
In our next report, we go to Myanmar to meet volunteer Kiki Min. In the aftermath of Cyclone Nargis in 2008, local Tzu Chi volunteers were mobilized to conduct relief distributions. Touched by the volunteers' selfless dedication and love, Kiki Min was inspired to join the volunteers' ranks.
We need to speak good words, have good thoughts, and do good deeds.
This is volunteer Kiki Min, who learned to speak Chinese so she can introduce Tzu Chi to members of the public.
I share the Dharma with her and she shares it with other people.
Kiki Min says she has heard of the Buddha's NGO in the aftermath of Cyclone Nargis in 2008. After she joined Tzu Chi volunteers on home visitations, Kiki Ming was inspired to walk the Tzu Chi path. Despite the Buddhist NGO being different than the local strain of Buddhism, she insists on introducing Tzu Chi to more people.
I have been conducting home visitations in remote areas and volunteered at local temples. Slowly, those around me realized why I insisted on walking the Tzu Chi path.
Despite suffering from injuries left by accidents and having to eat painkillers every day, Kiki Ming said she will overcome all obstacles to do Tzu Chi.
I need to be strong and finish my tasks. I'm afraid that I'm not contributing enough to Tzu Chi.
Despite her injuries every week, Kiki Ming joins the cataract-free clinic. Further following in the master's footsteps, she also makes it a point to listen to master's words of wisdom daily. Although some of the Chinese is difficult to understand, Kiki Ming says she has learned that all that is required to walk the Tzu Chi path is determination and courage.
As the Mid-Autumn Festival is just around the corner, Tzu Chi volunteers in Penghu and Banqiao district of New Taipei City arrived at the homes of care recipients with rice and food. To reciprocate Tzu Chi's love and care, many care recipients also donated filled bamboo coin banks to help those in greater need.
Preparing rice and Mid-Autumn Festival food, today Penghu Tzu Chi volunteers are visiting care recipients in their local communities. Other than taking care of her 90-year-old mother, the senior also needs to look after her grandson.
甲恁祝福啦，心情放轻松哈，放好心情，放好开，这阿嬷是就很乐观。
Before their departure, the volunteers reminded the senior that if needed, Tzu Chi will always be there. Although mentally challenged, Tzu Chi's love and care has inspired this care recipient to be grateful.
我很高兴，你很高兴哦。这手放在这里，这手放在这里。阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛。
看到书就很高兴，对不对？
Although paralyzed after a car accident, with the volunteers' encouragement, this care recipient has developed a habit of reading.
行善，行孝，
不能等，行善，
行善，
不能等，
不能等。
Meanwhile, in New Taipei City's Banqiao district, Tzu Chi volunteers brought the festive atmosphere to care recipients. To reciprocate Tzu Chi's love and help those in greater need, some care recipients happily donated their bamboo coin banks.
托上人的福气啦，互咱有这个责任心安尼，按金钱安尼。
Thanks to volunteers, these care recipients not only are prepared to celebrate the upcoming Mid-Autumn Festival, but also the chance to pass on their love.
We stay in Taiwan at the end of the show. Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital held a Mid-Autumn Festival celebration for hospitalized cancer patients and their family members. During the event, a dietitian also shared with patients tips on how to stay fit and healthy. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching the headlines. Goodbye.